Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Leadership Dr. SB, where leadership is not just discussed, it's diagnosed, developed, and deployed with purpose. Today, we are dealing with a leadership issue that sits at the heart of wise decision making, sustainable influence, and transformational impact. Today's episode is called Gut plus Graphs, the Balanced Leader's Edge. And I want to begin with a simple truth. Some leaders trust their instincts, but ignore the evidence. Some leaders trust the evidence, but ignore their instincts. And both can be very dangerous. Because great leadership is not found at the extreme of emotion. And it is not found at the extreme of analysis either. Great leadership is found in the disciplined balance between the two. It is found in knowing how to trust your discernment without becoming reckless. It is found in knowing how to use data without becoming disconnected. It is found in learning how to lead with both gut and graphs. And that balance, my friend, is not weakness. That balance is not indecision. That balance is not hesitation. That balance is your edge. We are living in a time where leaders are flooded with dashboards, analytics, projections, ratings, scorecards, and performance measures. Everywhere you look, somebody is telling you to measure more, track more, forecast more, and quantify more. And there is value in that, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, leadership is still deeply human. It is relational. It is intuitive. It still requires emotional intelligence, moral courage, spiritual grounding, and the ability to sense what the spreadsheet cannot say. And if you lose either side, you lose something essential. So today, I want to help you understand how to lead with strength, wisdom, and clarity by embracing both sides of the equation. Because the best leaders do not choose between gut and graphs. They learn how to integrate them. Leadership is both art and science. We know that. At its core, leadership has always been both. The science of leadership deals with what can be measured. It includes performance outcomes, financial reports, productivity trends, customer feedback, retention data, strategic plans, timelines, deliverables, benchmarks, and metrics. These things matter. You cannot lead responsibly if you never look at numbers. You cannot guide an organization well if you refuse to examine patterns. You cannot steward people, resources, or vision with excellence if you do not care about evidence. But then there is the art of leadership. The art of leadership is your ability to discern what is not obvious. It's your capacity to read the room, to sense tension that has not yet been spoken, to recognize potential before it becomes performance, to feel when morale is dropping, when a team is disconnected, when a leader is struggling, or when a shift is needed even before the formal indicators catch up. This is the realm of instinct, wisdom, emotional intelligence, lived experience, and discernment. And mature leadership requires both. The graph may tell you what is happening, but the gut often helps you understand why it matters. The data may reveal a drop in engagement, but your discernment may tell you the real issue is not laziness, it's exhaustion. The numbers may show that the team is producing results, but your leadership instinct may tell you they are one hard week away from burnout. A chart may suggest stability, but your wisdom may tell you that something underneath the surface is fragile. This is why balanced leaders are so powerful. They understand that facts matter and feelings matter. Evidence matters and intuition matters. What is seen matters and what is sensed matters. Leadership is not either or, it is both and. There is danger of leading by gut alone. Let's talk about one side of the imbalance. Some leaders rely almost entirely on instinct. They trust their own read of the situation. They lean on experience. They move quickly. They believe their wisdom is enough. And let me say this clearly. Instinct is not the enemy. Intuition is not the enemy. Experience is not the enemy. In fact, seasoned instincts can be one of the greatest assets a leader has. But when instinct goes unchecked, it can become dangerous. Because sometimes what we call instinct is actually assumption. Sometimes what we call discernment is actually preference. And sometimes what we call confidence is actually ego. When leaders make decisions based only on gut, they can become impulsive. They can refuse accountability. They can ignore warning signs. They can dismiss other perspectives too quickly. They can become so attached to their own internal certainty that they stop investigating whether they're actually right. And one of the most dangerous things a leader can do is mistake being sure for being correct. Just because something feels right does not mean it's wise. Just because you have done it before does not mean it is right for right now. Just because you were experienced does not mean you are exempt from evidence. Strong leaders do not let their gut close the case. Strong leaders let their gut open the inquiry. Your instinct should make you curious. It should not make you careless. Your intuition should lead you to examine more closely. It should not give you permission to skip the work of verification. That is why balanced leaders pause. They do not surrender their wisdom, but they do test it. They do not deny what they sense, but they do investigate it. They do not throw away discernment, but they refuse to let discernment become delusion. That is growth. That is maturity. And that is leadership. But now, let's look at the other side. There are leaders who are so committed to measurable data that they lose touch with human reality. Everything has to be on a chart. Everything has to be a report. Everything has to be validated by a dashboard. Everything has to fit inside a metric. And while structure is good, leadership becomes incomplete when numbers become your only language. Because not everything that matters can be easily measured. You can measure attendance, but not always attention. You can measure output, but not always emotional cost. You can measure revenue, but not always relational trust. You can measure retention, but not always quiet disengagement. You can measure satisfaction scores, but not always fear, fatigue, or frustration. And if you become the kind of leader who only trusts what can be counted, you may miss the things that need your attention most. A team may hit targets and still be unhealthy. A department may look efficient and still be deeply uninspired. A high performer may still be hurting. A quiet employee may still be brilliant. A struggling season may still be the early stage of a breakthrough. The graph does not always tell the whole truth. It tells part of the truth, and that is why leaders' gut still matters. Not because instinct replaces evidence, but because discernment expands understanding. Balanced leaders know that numbers can guide them, but numbers cannot pasture people. Metrics can inform strategy, but metrics cannot replace wisdom. Reports can expose trends, but reports cannot fully interpret human complexity. Leadership is about more than efficiency. It is about stewardship. It is about more than performance. It is about people. It is about more than results. It's about responsibility. And if you only lead with graphs, you may become accurate in places where you should be compassionate. Let that sink in for a moment. So, what makes balance such a powerful leadership advantage? Because balance protects you from extremes. It protects you from emotional overreach. It protects you from analytical paralysis. It protects you from arrogance on one side and detachment on the other. Balanced leaders know how to ask better questions. They ask, what are the numbers saying? What is my wisdom saying? What are the people closest to the problem saying? What facts are clear? What remains unclear? What is visible in the data? What is visible in the culture? What is showing up on paper? What is showing up in people? That is the kind of leadership that creates a lasting impact, because sometimes the data confirms what your spirit already sensed. Sometimes the data corrects what your assumptions got wrong. And sometimes intuition helps you ask stronger, sharper, wiser questions of the data itself. That is why balance is not soft. It is sharp. It is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is not confusion. It is disciplined clarity. The balanced leader has an edge because they are not easily manipulated by emotion, and they are not easily blinded by numbers. They can hold complexity without collapsing. They can sit in tension without rushing into shallow conclusions. They can examine both the measurable and the meaningful. And in today's world, that is rare. That is the kind of leader that we need. Not just smart, but that's the kind of leader that is sound. Now, let me speak directly to the leader listening today who is under pressure. That's all of us, right? You have decisions to make. You have people depending on you. You have responsibilities that carry weight. You are trying to hold vision, protect people, produce outcomes, and keep moving forward. And maybe right now you are wrestling with uncertainty. Maybe the numbers say one thing, but your spirit is unsettled. Maybe your instinct is strong, but the evidence is incomplete. Maybe you're trying to discern whether to pivot, push, wait, confront, release, invest, or even rebuild. Here is what I want to say to you. Do not let pressure force you into a false choice. You do not have to become emotionally reckless to be courageous. And you do not have to become emotionally numb to be strategic. You can be wise and grounded. You can be analytical and compassionate. You can be visionary and accountable. You can be strong and still be thoughtful. Take the time to examine what needs to be examined. Ask the hard questions. Listen beneath the surface. Study the evidence. Pay attention to what your experience is revealing. Seek counsel and then move with integrity. Leadership is not about perfect certainty. It's about faithful responsibility. Sometimes you will make the best decision you can make with the information you have. Sometimes clarity will come in layers. Sometimes confirmation will come after courage. But that does not mean you are failing. It means you are leading. And the more balanced you become, the more resilient your leadership will be. Let me empower you today with this reminder. You were not called to lead like a robot, and you were not called to lead like a gambler. You were called to lead like a steward. A steward pays attention. A steward listens carefully. A steward weighs the facts. A steward honors people. A steward acts responsibly. A steward does not waste wisdom, and a steward does not ignore truth. So stop apologizing for being thoughtful. Stop thinking balance makes you weak. Stop assuming that only the loudest, quickest, most impulsive leader in the room is the strongest one. No, the strongest leader is often the one who can hold both head and heart, both evidence and empathy, both strategy and soul, both courage and caution, both instinct and information. That is the leader who lasts. That is the leader people trust. That is the leader who builds healthy systems, healthy cultures, and healthy impact. And let me say something else. When you learn how to balance gut and graphs, you stop being easy to manipulate. You are not swayed by emotion alone. You are not trapped by optics alone. You are not controlled by pressure alone. You are not hypnotized by numbers alone. You become grounded, and grounded leaders make powerful decisions. So let me leave you with this. The next time you face a difficult decision, do not ask yourself whether you should choose gut or graphs. Bring both to the table. Let the data inform you. Let discernment anchor you. Let people humanize the process. Let values guide the direction. Let purpose steady the outcome. Because when instinct is refined by insight, and when information is elevated by wisdom, you do not just become a better decision maker, you become a better leader. You become the kind of leader who can stand in complexity and still move with confidence. The kind of leader who does not crumble under ambiguity. The kind of leader who can think clearly, feel deeply, and act courageously. The kind of leader who knows that true leadership is never just about having numbers on your side or passion on your side. It is about having integrity at the center. Now, I couldn't close this out without giving you the prescription from the leadership doctor. Let your gut raise the question. Let the data reveal the pattern. Listen for the human story behind the numbers. Then decide with courage, clarity, and integrity. Because the balanced leader's edge is this: discern deeply, review honestly, listen carefully, and lead boldly. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep becoming the leader you were destined to be. Let me ask you something. Why do talented teams still struggle? Why do capable leaders still deal with miscommunication, tension, and disengagement? It's not a lack of knowledge. It's not a lack of effort. It's a lack of connection. Because when people don't feel understood, they disengage. When they don't feel valued, they disconnect. And when that happens, performance suffers. At the Leadership Dr. SB, we call this the relationship gap. And it's the reason so many leaders fall short, not because they can't lead, but because they've never been taught how to truly connect. That's why, on my birthday, April the 15th, we are launching a new leadership experience called Connect to Lead. It's a course designed to help you build trust faster, communicate with clarity and impact, strengthen your alignment across your team, and lead in a way people actually respond to. Because the truth is simple. You don't lead first, you connect first. Now, this season is a powerful one. Alongside the course, I've also released 2 new books, each one designed to develop a different dimension of leadership and personal growth. The Posture of Leadership will be available on April the 15th on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles. Focuses on how you show up as a leader, your mindset, your presence, and your consistency. And for women navigating faith, resilience, in real life, I've released 365 Days of Grace and Grit that is also available now on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles. It's a devotional guide designed to strengthen your spirit day by day. These are 3 distinct resources, one to shape your inner posture, one to strengthen your daily resilience, and one to transform how you connect and lead with others. Thank you for your support thus far. Again, I'm the Leadership Dr. SB, and if you're ready to elevate how you lead, transform how you connect, and close gaps that's been holding you back, get ready, because April the 15th is upon us and Connect to Lead is coming. Subscribe, stay connected, and I'll see you soon. Be well.